Good morning, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Hope everybody's still having a nice period of rest and digestion after Thanksgiving. I hope you all overate and generally had a great time. So what we're going to talk about this week is we're talking about indoor growing setup. And it's a fun subject. A lot of people don't know what they need until they start doing it. And it's really interesting because, again, it can be tailor-made to what you're looking for. By the way, I've had way too much coffee this morning already. You like how we just started right away? I didn't even like no
You didn't talk about your outfit.
I know nothing. I just like bam straight. Way too much coffee today. It's one of those days. You know those days where you get going and it's just I need my coffee.
Yeah.
Brandy knows she wrote a midterm and got no sleep. So, but she aced her midterm.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what? I dressed myself today and I actually matched up.
Well, now we talk about your outfit.
Exactly.
Okay.
I had to bring it up. But yeah, it's indoor growing. You know, people will come and they'll say, "Oh, I really want to grow tomatoes year round," but they don't think about the space because when you're growing a tomato outside in your garden, it's all about that perception thing. And the amount of room you have out there, your one little tomato when it's pot doesn't look that big. But you move that same pot and that same tomato inside, suddenly you're like, oh wow, that takes up a lot of space. Then factor in the amount of light. Plus, like we touched on, you're growing over the winter. So the conditions are less than ideal, even for growing inside. You're getting less hours of sunlight during the day. More chance of cloudy days with snow and precipitation happening. So you've really got to work around it, and it might be, you might really want to grow tomatoes inside and you might not be able to, and that does happen. But it doesn't mean that you can't grow nothing inside. Is that good English? Didn't sound like good English.
I think we got it.
I think I got it. Yeah. I'm running with it. No do-overs.
No.
So it all depends on what level you want to go to and where you want to go. In the easiest way, like anything, what I always recommend, if you've never done it before, start small. You know, anecdotally, I remember a few years ago here, and I was on the floor, and I ran into a couple, and they just moved into a house. It was springtime, and they were super enthusiastic, which is great. And I think they said they wanted 40 tomato plants. And I talked them out of it. I talked them down. I think I ended up getting them down to 3. And the reason for that is they've never done it before. And I said to them, and I wasn't trying to be cruel, I'm just being honest, I've seen it happen. If you start with 40, there's a great chance you're going to fail. You're not going to realize how much time it takes, how much work is involved. You get a pathogen, be it aphids or powdery mildew, which are very common, and it rips through everything. You're not going to know how to get it under control. And essentially, you're setting yourself up to fail. If you go with 3, it gives you an idea of what you're looking at, and it's an achievable goal. You do that, well then next year do 6, then next year do 12, then do 24, then do 48. 5-6 years, you're at where you want it to be, and you've learned how to do it. So your chance of success is going to be great. You want to get into fixing engines, you're probably not going to start on a Ferrari. Try fixing a lawnmower. So that's where I like people to go. So if you've never grown inside, you don't know how to use grow lights, you don't know what does a plant need inside compared to outside. If you know how to grow, you're going to be more successful. You're going to have a better idea. Then it's just learning. And setups like this are great for the beginner. It's everything you need in one kit. This is just a stand so you can put lights on it. This is great for germination, the nano dome. You've got your starting tray, you've got your greenhouse dome, it comes with a light. You've got your grow light garden. That comes with your grow trays, a wicking tray, your grow light that is adjustable on its height. It's a bit more advanced. Then if you're buying independent lights, and we will be talking more specifically about lights tomorrow, so I'm not going to touch too much on that. This is great and gives you a lot more freedom. So this is a great place to start. You've got everything you need in one kit, and it kind of lets you know, hey, I am ready for this. And if you're not, it's not a huge investment of both space, time, and money. If you're like, oh wow, this wasn't for me at all, for whatever reason, you haven't re-outfitted a whole room, you haven't spent hundreds of dollars on lights. I mean, we have lights that are literally over $1,000. I don't recommend starting there if you've never done it. Start with something like this. And if it turns out this isn't for you, for whatever reason, re-gift it to somebody. Be like, hey, you're interested in growing? Here's a kit. There's all kinds of possibilities, and this is a fantastic starting point. And you know what? Start easy. Who cares? Grow microgreens, grow mint, grow dill. They're really easy, fun herbs that you are also going to use. Then you start using them, you enjoy using them, you enjoy the smell, you like the light, you're having a lot of fun with it. Then you can expand, and you can expand the same year. You like it, you get 2 of them. Well, now you add a nano dome in this. You buy this and you buy a separate light. It's not like if you expand, you can never use this again. This can go in a dark basement. It comes with its own light. So you're not pigeonholed to, oh, it has to go in front of this window. So this is a great place to start. Now, if you want to get to something bigger, you've got a bit of room, but you don't have a ton of space, you can go with a setup like this. And this is very simply what they call a jump start setup with some lights. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to plug it in, but that's why we've got the lights behind me. This is on a pulley system, so you can adjust the height you want your lights to go to. So you see I just moved the toggle nice and low from my one starting. As they get bigger, I pull it up, and I just adjust my toggle. You can see I got some pots in here just to show you different sizes. We got different pots too. Pruning, square pots, circular pots, every different size you can look for. You can double them up. And this will do your smaller tomato plants. It'll do some trailing cucumbers. You can do your bigger veggies or a much bigger herb production, or both. You can have fun with it. If the light is coming up, if you're raising the light because you're growing tomatoes, but your herbs are down here, you don't want your herbs getting too leggy. And again, we'll touch on this when we talk about lighting. Flip a pot upside down and put your herbs on it, and you've brought your herbs up to the light. So there's all kinds of workarounds. Sorry, I keep bending over. I kill my microphone when I grab these nuts.
Wah. No, we got you.
Yeah, look, I can learn. I learned something. I learned something today too. But this is a great setup. And then, if you really want to go big, you can go with a tent. You can go with a full setup. And with these tents, they're literally big enough. You know, I'm 6'1" and I can essentially stand up in it. It's a 6-foot tent. It's 4 foot by 4 foot. We've got a light here on a pulley system, and this light can be adjusted. You can also swap. As you can see, I'm changing spectrums now. So you can change your spectrums. You can do everything. You can put a tray in here, a wooden stand, and literally start seeds when your seeds work, because remember, seeds don't need light to start. But once they have started, you can put them in here on shelves. Because of the reflection, you don't have to worry about things getting too leggy and reaching for light. This will grow full-size tomatoes. You can have tomatoes on this side, shelving units on this side, and have herbs and whatnot growing in there. So honestly, you're only limited. In these tents, we don't have any in store, but I believe the biggest tent I have seen is 20 foot by 20 foot by 8 foot tall. So you can really do some huge production. What it boils down to is you are not limited by space in any way, shape, or form. You have only a small area, you've never done it before. Go with something like this. It takes up a really low footprint. You've got a ton of area, you've got an empty room, you want to set something up, you can put in a grow tent. So you're only limited by what you want to grow. and how you want your setup to be. And in no way, shape or form. By the way, do you like my drawing? Isn't that's a tent? And that's a kitchen counter, but I put a tomato in there anyway.
What are the other ones?
That is microgreens and that's basil.
Oh, there you go.
That was pretty quick, eh? I had no idea what they were. Thanks for putting me on the spot, Brandy. Well, probably looks more like a cactus.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, microgreens and basil, clearly. And that's light. But you're not limited to one or the other either. I know people that have done a setup like this, and then they've wanted to expand. They get a tent. Well, they don't put a light like this. They just move those lights in there. Or they buy a new light, and they're growing under this, and in their tent, and they're growing on the counter. So you're honestly, what you need to do is much like your garden. Figure out what you're doing. If your family hates tomatoes, don't grow them. Grow something else. So you don't have to grow. You don't have to be like, oh, I've got to grow tomatoes, but you don't eat enough of them. Grow cucumbers. Have fun. Try doing something. I know, and I've never ever heard back from them, but I know somebody, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now, and they were growing a raspberry bush inside. Totally possible. All it requires is a big enough pot for the roots. It requires light for the productivity, and it requires a lot of water. Now it does require a period of dormancy, so I don't know how they worked around that. I don't know if they were successful. I've never followed up on them. But absolutely, you can do it. I don't know how you would. I've never done it, so I'm not going to. I have grown tomatoes in the tent before, but I've never grown a raspberry bush. But you know what their attitude was when they were asking my question? I was telling them logistically what they would need, but I couldn't give them any idea of success. Their attitude was, well, I'm going to try it. And that's all you can do. You've never grown herbs before, try it. And if you have questions, let us know. Watch our videos from season 1 about seed starting, about germination. That was designed to get your seeds outdoors, but it'll work with something like this. You can keep your seeds indoors. Don't forget to use your heat mats. Use all the knowledge you've got and put it in there. There are slight changes, but like I mentioned earlier, it should be a lot easier. You're not outside, so you're not at the whim of Mother Nature. You're not going to have a beautiful crop of basil going and then have a frost. Now, your furnace might break, but if your furnace breaks, I really hope your number one concern isn't your basil. But I hope the furnace doesn't break either. Brandy's nodding. She's got her priorities. But that's it in a nutshell. For your indoor growing setup, have fun with it. And I'm going to show you some things, again, later this week, about, literally, there are smaller setups than this that you can have that you can put together for 20, 25 bucks. So you're not breaking the bank, and then you can try it and go, oh man, I love this. I'm going to up my game to one of these. 2 years from now, you're like, this isn't big enough anymore. I'm going through these 4 trays of herbs before I can even go. Well, then you get a bigger one of these. Now you got 2 going. Then you go to this. Then you get to a 10. Who knows? Part of the fact is try it, have fun, start at a level you're comfortable with, and ask questions. Ask us. You might find, oh, I'm growing indoors. I might need to use a different growing medium. I might want a different growing medium. I want to grow 100% organic. Hit us up with all of your questions and we'll get you there. And don't be afraid. And if you even want to start, you've never done it before, and you want to start with something like this, we can make that successful for you too. It's going to be a bit more of a learning curve. So that wraps us up for today. Tomorrow, all about lights. We're going to show you all kinds of fun things, how they all work, different spectrums, what it all means. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have fun, take care, and have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye now.